Are you alone right now? You might want to double check that the doors are locked, and that no one's watching you from the dark. This is Lore of Limbo, and tonight, I'm going to share 3 terrifying stories from people who work the graveyard shift at gas stations. These aren't just creepy tales, they're real accounts of strange, unexplained events that left a mark, and questions that were never answered. Because when you're alone at 3 a.m., out in the middle of nowhere, it's not always the living you have to worry about. Story 2. My name is Corey. I'm 32 years old, and for most of my 20s, I worked at a small gas station off a quiet stretch of highway. It wasn't glamorous, just decent pay, long hours, and a lot of time to think. For a while, I liked the night shift. The silence. The space. No supervisors breathing down your neck. Just you, the humming of lights, and the occasional trucker coming in for gas or coffee. But that was before the night something happened that made me quit without giving notice. I haven't worked a single night shift since, and I never will again. It was the middle of November. Cold enough to see your breath but not quite freezing. I was alone, as usual, and the shift had been slow. I was in the booth behind the counter, watching old security footage on the monitor out of boredom. That's something I used to do to kill time, go back and look at what people had done during the day. Sometimes you'd catch someone doing something dumb or awkward. It was mindless, but it passed the time. Around 1:30 a.m., I noticed a black sedan pull into the lot. No headlights. It rolled in slow, and that immediately made me alert. People who pull in without lights either don't realize it or they're trying not to be seen. The car came to a stop in the corner of the lot, the farthest point from the pumps, almost in the shadows. Just outside of the reach of the main floodlight. It didn't move for a while. I watched on the screen and waited for someone to get out, but no one did. Then the interior light of the car came on. Just for a second. Like someone opened the door a crack and shut it. But I saw a shape, a tall silhouette. Thin. It looked like the person was sitting in the back seat, not the driver's seat. Now, I should mention, this gas station didn't have a full store. Just a tiny booth where I stayed, and a few vending machines outside. If people needed anything more, they'd press the intercom, and I'd unlock the vending cabinet. But no one got out. The car just sat there. No movement. No noise. And it stayed like that for nearly an hour. At 2:22 a.m., I decided to get up and check the lot with my flashlight. I walked out slowly, keeping my eyes on the car. The windows were tinted, so I couldn't see inside. I tried to stay calm and just walk past it. But as I passed it, and I swear I didn't imagine this, I heard breathing. Not regular breathing. It was deep. Wet. Ragged. Like someone was struggling to inhale, right next to the glass. I didn't stop. I kept walking until I was far enough, then turned and casually made my way back to the booth. The car never moved. Back inside, I locked the door and checked the cameras again. This time, the footage showed something different. I saw myself walking past the car, but there was no light on inside it. No breathing sound picked up. And the shape I'd seen earlier in the back seat? Gone. The car looked completely empty on the feed. But I heard that breathing. I know I did. At 3:08 a.m., something new happened. I heard a metallic clicking sound, rhythmic. Slow. Like someone tapping metal against glass. I looked out the window toward the lot. The sedan was still there. But now, I could see something through the windshield, a faint outline. Someone was sitting in the driver's seat now, perfectly still. Not moving. Just facing straight ahead. I checked the monitors again. On camera, The car was empty. I looked out the window again with my own eyes. Someone was there. No doubt in my mind. That's when I noticed something that made my blood turn to ice. On the booth door, the inside, there was condensation. Like someone had exhaled directly against the glass. A foggy patch in the shape of a mouth. Wide. Slightly open. Like someone was smiling. But I was the only one in the booth. At least, I should have been. I backed away slowly, staring at the glass. Then I heard it again, that same slow, ragged breathing. But this time, it was coming from right behind me. I spun around, nothing. Just the small counter, the shelves, the buzzing light overhead. I don't remember much after that. I locked myself in the back room, turned off the booth lights, and stayed there until sunrise. When the morning shift guy arrived, the black sedan was gone. No tire tracks. No oil stains. It was like it had never been there. I didn't say anything. I walked out, got in my car, and left. That was my last night at that job. A week later, out of morbid curiosity, I drove by the station around 2 a.m. The lot was empty. But parked in the corner, just barely within the shadows, was a black sedan. No lights. No sound. And for the briefest second, I saw someone sitting in the back seat. Just watching. Story 3. My name is Lorenzo. I'm 38 years old, and for a few years in my late 20s, I worked overnights at a gas station that sat on the edge of a quiet stretch of highway. We had one old camera above the counter, a radio that barely worked, and maybe 5 customers between midnight and 5 a.m. on a busy night. It wasn't the kind of job where anything ever happened. Until the night something did, and I can't explain it. I've tried. I've looked at it from every angle, told myself I was tired, sleep-deprived, imagining things. But I wasn't. This happened in early summer. It was hot, even at night. The kind of heat that clings to your skin and makes you feel like your clothes are damp no matter what you do. It was around 3:15 a.m. I remember that clearly because I had just finished ringing up a trucker who bought a Red Bull and a packet of beef jerky. After he left, the lot was empty again. I sat back down behind the counter, scrolling through my phone, when I heard the door chime. But no one had walked in. I looked up, expecting maybe someone walked by or pushed the door without opening it fully. But the door was completely shut. Then I noticed something odd. The register, the old one we rarely used, blinked. It made the beep sound it usually makes after a transaction. Then a receipt printed out. The problem was, no one had touched it. I hadn't processed any sale. I stood up, walked over to it. The receipt had one item listed. $0.00, final. Just that. No item name, no code, just final. I stared at it for a long time, then ripped it from the machine and tossed it. I figured it was a glitch. That system was ancient anyway. Less than a minute later, the door chime rang again. Still, no one there. But this time, I noticed something on the floor, wet footprints. Bare feet. Leading in from the entrance. 5 prints total. They stopped in the middle of the aisle. Just stopped. Like whoever, whatever, made them had vanished mid-step. I checked the security camera. Rewound a few minutes. Nothing. The chime didn't register. No movement in the footage. Just an empty door, and me reacting to something that, according to the tape, never happened. I cleaned the floor, trying to keep calm. Told myself condensation, maybe a leaky ceiling, anything but what it looked like. It was around 3:30 when the lights flickered. Not the whole store, just the aisle where the prints had stopped. That row had one flickering fluorescent tube, and it buzzed loudly, then popped. The light went out. Then the air got colder. I remember this part vividly. It had been hot all night, heavy, uncomfortable. But suddenly, it was like walking into a refrigerator. My breath fogged up. The radio on the shelf turned on by itself. It was always unplugged. A man's voice came through, garbled, like AM static. I couldn't understand the words, but it was fast, rhythmic, like someone reciting something from memory. Then it stopped. The radio turned off. The temperature shifted back like nothing happened. And then the register beeped again. Another receipt printed out. This time it said, $0.00, completed. That was it. No customer. No sale. I was done at that point. I locked the front door from the inside, flipped the closed sign, and sat in the back until the sun came up. When the morning manager came in, I told him the system was glitching. I didn't mention the footprints, or the radio, or the fact that, when I checked the receipts in the drawer, the machine had printed a total of 5 that night, even though I'd only served 3 real customers. 2 of them had the same line. $0.00, accepted. The last one? It just said, change due, 1. I haven't worked another night shift since then. I even tried taking a few day shifts, but something just didn't feel the same. That place, it left something in me. Sometimes, I think about going back to check the footage, but deep down, I know I won't. Not because I'm afraid of what I'll see, but because I already know I won't find anything. Just empty space. Whatever was there that night didn't want to be caught. And whatever it was, it knew I was alone. If you're still here, thanks for listening. If you enjoy true horror stories and the unsettling things that hide in plain sight, consider subscribing to the channel. There's a lot more waiting for you in the dark corners of reality. This is Lord of Limbo, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay aware, stay safe, and don't look too long into the shadows.